I clicked into the profile page of the girl named Chloe. The latest update was a video. The camera is shaking, showing two hands clasped together. On one of the hands, there was a clear ring mark on the ring finger. The surprise for Valentine's Day was a piece of lace lingerie. The tag was scratchy, the lace rough, and the padding thick like armor. More importantly, the size was completely wrong, so tight I could barely breathe. Ethan, my husband, came out of the bathroom, saw me wearing this battle armor. His eyes lit up, and he exclaimed, "Baby, you look great in this. I picked it out just for you." On purpose? I tugged at the tight strap, sneering in my heart. This cheap texture, this ill-fitting size, looks like something grabbed casually from a wholesale market. I originally thought his taste had suddenly declined, or that he simply didn't care, until I accidentally glanced at his phone on the bedside table, which hadn't been locked yet, and a private message notification from Instagram popped up. The profile picture was of a young, beautiful girl, with the note "Baby." The message read, "Brother, I received the lingerie you sent me. I really like it, but the size seems a bit too big." Brother, lingerie? The size is a bit too big? In the blink of an eye, everything connected. I looked down at this tight, constricting underwear on me. It turned out it wasn't the wrong size bought, but sent to the wrong person. This one truly belongs to that darling, and what I received was probably the one she thought was too big. What a huge surprise. That was the mark left by the wedding ring Ethan had worn for years. A few days ago, he said the ring was a bit loose and took it for maintenance. Another post showed a pile of expensive makeup and skincare products, many of which had been sitting in my shopping cart for a long time, too precious to buy. The caption read, "Death Barbie Pink gifted by my straight husband. How do I use it? So frustrating." Between the lines, there was blatant showing off and complaining. Straight husband? Who does she call her husband? My heart felt as if it was being squeezed, aching all over. I forced myself to stay calm. I picked up Ethan's phone, and his fingerprint easily unlocked it. I went straight to Amazon's purchase history, a long list of orders, all high-priced cosmetics, skincare products, bags bought in recent months, and even the latest model of mobile phones. Without exception, the delivery addresses all point to a student dormitory at a university in this city. Recipient's name, Chloe Miller. All the clues matched up. He used the money we worked so hard to earn on another young girl. Anger almost overwhelmed me like a tsunami, but I bit my lip hard, tasting the metallic tang of blood. Crying and shouting, questioning, that was too cheap for him. I took a deep breath and turned on the screen recording feature on my phone. Then, I opened the chat history between him and Chloe. Those indecent flirtations, those blatant promises, those sweet words he never said to me, they stabbed my heart like sharp knives. "Baby, be good. Once I finish this busy period, I'll take you on a vacation." That old woman? I'm already tired of her. If it weren't for the fact that she's still somewhat useful. Your body is so soft, even more than hers. After stopping the screen recording, I encrypted the video and sent it to my backup email, then thoroughly erased all traces from my phone. Chat records, browsing traces, screen recording files, all deleted. He won't notice anything unusual. Ethan came out of the bathroom, covered in steam. He saw that I was still wearing that lingerie and came over to hug me. "Why are you still wearing it? Don't you like it?" I spent a long time picking it out. His tone was gentle, with a subtle hint of probing. I avoided his touch and said lightly, "It's a bit tight." "Is that so? Then I'll buy a size bigger next time." He lied smoothly, not even blinking. I looked at him. This man I had shared a bed with for years, and for the first time felt so strange, so disgusted. I didn't expose him, just shook my head. "No need. I don't like this style." He seemed to sense my coldness and immediately changed the subject. "Baby, are you still thinking about Pip?" Pip was the nickname for the child we never got to bring into this world. A year ago, I was pregnant, but I had a miscarriage due to an accident. Since then, my health has not been good, and the doctor said I need proper care and rest. This also became the best excuse for Ethan to refuse to share a bed with me. Every time he mentions Pip, my heart aches. He knew this was my weakness. "Don't overthink it. The doctor said your health is the priority now. You can't overexert yourself." He stroked my hair, his tone full of concern. "That kind of thing. We'll talk about it later." I used to believe his lies, feeling sorry for him and understanding him. Now, I only feel irony. "You don't touch me because you're busy with other women, right? Let's try tonight." I looked up, staring straight into his eyes. Ethan's body stiffened instantly, his eyes darting away. Ava, don't be like this. Your body. The doctor said it's okay. I interrupted him. Or do you think you can't do it with me? His face looked somewhat unpleasant, probably because my blunt words hit a sore spot. He was silent for a few seconds, then suddenly said, or, maybe we could consider IVF? That would be less of a burden on your body. IVF? He was clearly unwilling to be intimate with me because of his affair, yet he blamed it on my body and even suggested IVF, a seemingly considerate proposal. It's so hypocritical that it makes me sick. My heart completely sank, leaving only a numb chill. All right, I replied calmly, agreeing to his consideration. Late at night, I found an excuse, saying I wanted to eat a late-night snack at the corner shop, and sent Ethan away. He had just left when I followed right after. I arrived at the underground parking lot and found Ethan's black Porsche. Skillfully, I opened the glove compartment and stuck a miniature voice recorder with strong double-sided tape in the most concealed corner. This voice recorder was bought during a previous interview. It has clear sound quality and long battery life. After finishing all this, I went home as if nothing had happened. At 1 o'clock in the morning, Ethan's phone suddenly rang. He almost cut it off instantly, then turned over and got out of bed. There's an urgent matter at the company. I have to go handle it, he said quietly while getting dressed, moving hurriedly. So late? I pretended to be woken up, rubbing my eyes. Yeah, an urgent project. He leaned down and kissed my forehead. It seems like there's thunder outside. Are you scared? Should I come back after I finish? His tone was so gentle it could drip water, carrying just the right amount of care. In the past, I might have been touched, but now, I only feel hypocrisy. It's okay, you go ahead, come back early. I nodded obediently. He picked up the car keys and hurriedly left the house. After he left, I immediately got out of bed. Urgent company matter? I bet he went to see Chloe. I quickly changed clothes, called a car using a ride-hailing app, and headed to the university where Chloe studies. The night was deep and dark, and sure enough, it started raining outside with distant thunder. The neon lights outside the car window were blurred by the rain, like my chaotic thoughts at this moment. While waiting, I inexplicably opened TikTok. I typed Chloe Miller into the search bar. Soon, I found her account. She is very lively, sharing all kinds of daily life moments, delicious food, selfies, and travels. One of the videos shows the final screen of an online game she played with friends. In a corner of the screen, a familiar ID stands out. ZZ Loves Me. This ID is Ethan's gaming account. He once pulled me into playing this game together, saying he would help me rank up. During that time, there was always a female character named Chloe Baby following us in the game, clumsy in operation, often feeding kills, and dragging the whole team down. Ethan would always laugh it off, saying she was a friend of a friend, a newbie, and asked me to be patient with her. Looking back now, that Chloe Baby was Xiao Zhizhi. I was completely unaware at the time. It turned out that I had long been a part of their play, a fool kept in the dark, anger and humiliation intertwined, almost ready to consume me. The taxi stopped at the university gate. The rain grew heavier, and without an umbrella, I hurriedly took shelter in the glass booth of a 24-hour self-service bank by the roadside. The cold glass separated me from the wind and rain outside, also cutting off the warmth. Just then, Ethan's call came through. My pupils constricted suddenly. Baby, are you home yet? The rain is really heavy. I'm a bit worried. His voice came through the receiver, tinged with a hint of anxiety. For a moment, I even wondered if I was being too suspicious. Maybe he really was handling official business? Maybe it was all just a coincidence? I'm fine, just about to sleep, I answered, steadying my voice. Just as the words fell, a familiar black Porsche drove through the rain and slowly stopped by the roadside not far away. The headlights swept across, and I could see clearly that it was Ethan's car. Immediately after, a slender figure ran out from the university dormitory building. It was Chloe. She didn't take an umbrella, braving the heavy rain as she rushed toward the Porsche, opened the rear door, and climbed in. The driver's side door also opened. Ethan got out of the car, quickly went around to the back, and climbed into the back seat. The car did not drive away immediately. The rear window was tinted dark, so I couldn't see clearly what was happening inside, but I could imagine. On such a rainy night, less than 100 meters from me, my husband and his lover were in the car. I stood in the cold glass booth, letting the rain outside beat against the glass, and also against my heart, already full of wounds. The rain blurred my vision, and also blurred my tears. I just stood there quietly, watching that car until its taillights lit up and it disappeared into the end of the rainy night. The next morning, Ethan came back. He looked exhausted, with faint dark circles under his eyes. Yet he held a large bouquet of bright red roses and a packed seafood porridge in his hands. "Baby, a belated Valentine's Day gift." He handed me the flowers, his tone apologetic. "Last night's company matters were too tricky. I was busy all night and just finished handling them." He even emphasized, "See, I didn't get any sleep at all. The seafood porridge is from my favorite restaurant. Roses are my favorite variety." He is always like this, skilled at using these details to make up for his mistakes. If it were before, I might have softened my heart and been moved. But now, I only find this bouquet of roses glaring and this seafood porridge nauseating. The acting is really convincing. Handling urgent company matters? You must be handling them in the back seat. Thank you for your hard work. I took the flowers, expressionless. He seemed a bit surprised by my calmness, but didn't think much of it. He hurriedly changed his shoes. "I'm in a rush. Need to catch the high-speed train. There's a project out of town that I have to follow up on." After saying that, he bent down to kiss me once, then left in a hurry. After he left, I immediately went downstairs. I arrived at the underground parking garage, found his car, and retrieved that small voice recorder. Back home, I threw the bouquet of roses symbolizing lies and betrayal, along with the wrapping, into the trash bin. Then, I put on my headphones and pressed the play button. The voice recorder clearly captured everything from last night. Ethan's voice, Chloe's voice, intertwined together. "Slow down. Isn't your wife's friend at the traffic police station? It wouldn't be good if we got caught on camera." Chloe's voice carried a coquettish tone. "Don't worry, there's no surveillance on this road. Besides, who would dare check my car?" Ethan's voice held a hint of pride and reassurance. What followed was even more indecent flirting and laughter. Chloe complained that he didn't spend enough time with her, and Ethan coaxed her, saying he'd marry her once he dealt with that old woman. At the end of the recording, Chloe asked in an almost innocent tone, "Ethan, do you love me?" After a brief silence, Ethan gave a clear and definite answer, "Love. Of course I do. Love." The word came out of his mouth like a poisoned dagger. I turned off the recording and backed up the file again. I took annual leave without telling Ethan and went straight back to my hometown. I needed a quiet place to sort out my thoughts, and I also needed the support of my family. I told my mother everything exactly as it happened. I thought she would feel sorry for me and support my decision to divorce. However, after hearing it, my mother's expression darkened. "Ava, are you sure you're mistaken? Ethan seems quite honest and treats you well. How could he do such a thing?" I took out the photos and recordings from my phone. The evidence was conclusive, and Mother could no longer argue. But her reaction was beyond what I expected. "Men, you know, it's inevitable to have affairs," she sighed. "Ethan is successful now, wealthy and influential. It's normal for there to be temptations outside. You just have to endure it, and it will pass." Endure? I couldn't believe my ears. "Mom, he cheated, so what if that's the case? As long as he still cares about this family and is willing to give you money to spend, that's enough." Mother frowned. "The most important thing for you now is to quickly recover your health and have another child. Once you have a child, his heart will come back." The younger brother beside me also chimed in, "Sis, Mom is right. Your brother-in-law is so rich. Where else would you find someone this good if you leave him? Besides, didn't he promise to buy me a new game console?" I looked at these two closest people in front of me and felt a chill run through me. In their eyes, my pain and dignity were far less important than Ethan's wealth and that little bit of petty gain. "I want a divorce," I said firmly. My heart was as dead as ashes. "You're crazy." Mother suddenly stood up, pointing at my nose. "I'm telling you, this marriage is not allowed to end. If you dare to divorce, then don't call me your mother." My younger brother also chimed in. "Sis, don't be foolish." The argument escalated. Mother became emotional, and in the end, she directly pushed me out of the house. "Get out. If you want a divorce, then get out. I don't want a troublesome daughter like you." The door slammed shut behind me, cutting off everything inside. I stood at the familiar doorstep, like a homeless wanderer. It turned out, I didn't even have a last way out. The phone rang. It was Ethan. He persistently called again, and I hung up once more. Soon, his messages flooded in. "Baby, why aren't you answering the phone? I heard from Mom that you're back home. Why didn't you tell me? Did Mom say something to you?" don't take it to heart. She's sharp-tongued but soft-hearted. My project here finished early. I'll come back to see you tomorrow. Don't be mad at me, okay? I know I was wrong for being so busy and neglecting you. When I get back, I'll take you to that Japanese yakitori place you've always wanted to try, alright? His tone was full of cautious flattery and tenderness, as if he was truly blaming himself for my grievance. That yakitori place was somewhere I had been talking about for a long time, but he always said he was busy and had no time. Looking at these messages, I had a moment of daze. Maybe he really knows he was wrong? Maybe he was just momentarily confused? The temptation of that yakitori shop, that lingering warmth, like a faint flame, tried to kindle a glimmer of hope in my frozen heart. But soon, reason took the upper hand. How trustworthy can a man be who can lie without changing his expression and seamlessly switch between his lover and me? Sure enough, the next day, just when I thought he would really come back to take me to eat yakitori, his message came again. Baby, I'm sorry, the company suddenly has an urgent matter. I really can't leave. I'll make it up to you with yakitori next time. Be good. It's the company again. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, revealing a hint of a sarcastic smile. I hung up. I opened Chloe's Instagram. The latest update is a photo of a birthday cake, located at a 5-star hotel. Caption, thank you, my dear, for spending my birthday with me. Heart. In the corner of the photo, a man's suit sleeve and an expensive watch are visible. That watch was the gift I gave Ethan for my birthday last year. So, the so-called urgent company matter was actually celebrating his mistress's birthday. How nice. I turned off my phone, returned to the temporary rented apartment, and took out the red marriage certificate from the drawer. Then, I dialed the emergency number. Hello, is this the police? I want to report that someone is engaging in activities in room XX of the XX hotel. Yes, I am his wife. I stood at the hotel room door with 2 police officers. My heart was racing, but my hands were unusually steady. The police knocked on the door, identifying themselves. Inside came a flurry of panicked noises, and after a long while, the door was opened just a crack. Ethan, wearing a bathrobe with wet hair, saw the police at the door and me behind them, his face instantly turning pale. What do you want? He tried to stay calm, but the tremor in his voice betrayed his guilt. The police showed their badges. We received a tip-off suspecting illegal trade here. Please cooperate with the investigation. Ethan's gaze passed over the police and fixed firmly on me, his eyes filled with disbelief and anger. The door was pushed open completely. The room was in disarray. Chloe, also wearing a bathrobe, lay on the bed. She was clearly frightened by the commotion, her face still flushed. The moment she saw me, Chloe's eyes immediately filled with hostility and a hint of panic. Officer, you've got it wrong. We're just a normal couple. Chloe hurriedly defended herself, trying to cover up the marks on her body. Ethan looked at me as if he had just heard the biggest joke, both shocked and angry. Ava, are you crazy? Do you know what you're doing? I ignored him and calmly said to the officer, Officer, I am his legal wife, and I have the marriage certificate. As for this lady's relationship with him, I'm not sure, but I suspect there's a financial transaction involved. I provided the marriage certificate information and cooperated with the police to give a detailed statement, submitting the records I had of Ethan transferring money to Chloe and giving her gifts. Although this cannot be directly classified as, it can serve as supporting evidence. Ethan and Chloe were taken back to the police station for further investigation, although in the end it might not be possible to confirm it as due to insufficient evidence. That is not important. My goal was to leave a criminal record, to leave evidence strong enough to ruin him in the divorce proceedings. Coming out of the police station, the sky was already dawning. Ethan charged at me like an enraged lion. Ava, why did you do this? Call the police? You actually reported me? His eyes were bloodshot, veins bulging on his forehead. Do you hate me that much? Are you only satisfied if you destroy me? Destroy you? I looked at his frantic expression and found it ridiculous. Ethan, you were the one who destroyed our home first. I was just. He tried to defend himself. Just what? Just playing around? Just a fling? I cut him off coldly. When you wear the watch I painstakingly saved up to buy for you, and go celebrate another woman's birthday, did you ever think about this family? You followed me? His eyes sharpened. No need to follow. I looked at him calmly. When you handed me that ill-fitting lingerie, when you used our lost child as an excuse to reject me, when your phone was full of records of things bought for her, when you flirted with her in the game, When you lied saying you had work but went to her school late at night. When you told the recorder you loved her. Ethan, do you think I still need to follow you? Every word I spoke made his face grow paler. Those details he thought were hidden. I laid them all bare under the sunlight. When we first came to this city, living in a damp basement, sharing a bowl of instant noodles. What did you say? My voice was a little choked. Not for him, but for the love that had died and the person I once was. You said, when you had money, you would make sure I lived a good life, never letting me suffer any grievances again. Later, we had our own house, a car, and your career flourished. And me? I took so many medicines and injections just to have a child for you. In the end, the child was lost, and I nearly lost half my life too. But how have you treated me? You took our shared property to support another woman. You despise me for growing old and losing my beauty. You lie to me. You betray me. Ethan, on what grounds do you think that just because you cheated, I should still preserve your dignity? What right do you have to accuse me of being cruel? My voice was not loud, yet every word was filled with sorrow, every sentence struck at the heart. Ethan was left speechless by my words, his face pale and defeated, his eyes full of shock and pain. At that moment, Chloe ran out of the police station, crying and sobbing. She saw Ethan and immediately rushed over. Ethan, Ethan instinctively wanted to support her, but seeing my cold gaze, he stopped his movement. He hesitated for a moment, but in the end, he pushed Chloe away and chose to stand by my side. You take a taxi home yourself, he said to Chloe, his tone cold and harsh. Chloe looked at him in disbelief, then glanced at me with jealousy. She seemed to understand something, biting her lip, and finally turned to me, whispering, I'm sorry. I looked at her, this young girl, both pitiful and hateful, but I had no mood to sympathize with her. All of this was her own choice. Ethan looked at me, his eyes complex, filled with regret and pleading. Ava, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. He grabbed my hand, his voice hoarse. I swear, I only love you. And with her it was just a fling. I was momentarily confused. Another promise. His vow was once the thing I believed in most firmly. The promising man who once was full of ambition and said he would create a sky for me now humbly begs before me. But as I listen to these words, all that remains in my heart is endless sorrow. The mirror is broken. Even if glued back together, the cracks remain. Once trust is gone, it can never come back. Let's get a divorce, I said. No, I won't divorce, Ethan retorted passionately. Ava, please give me one more chance. I'm begging you. Divorce, or I hand this evidence over to the media and your competitors, I said calmly, looking at him. The choice is yours. He knew I wasn't joking. He stared at me intently, as if trying to find a trace of hesitation on my face. In the end, he let go of my hand in defeat. What exactly do I mean to you? He asked softly, filled with despair. In my heart? I smiled. You mean nothing now. Ethan ultimately still refused to agree to the divorce. He began to endlessly pester me with apologies, sending flowers and gifts, trying to win me back, to gain a more advantageous position in the divorce proceedings. I made a request. Write a letter of guarantee, I said to him, detailing the process of your infidelity, admitting your mistakes, and promising to leave with nothing. Ethan's face instantly flushed red. This was a great humiliation for him. Ava, do you really want to humiliate me like this? He gritted his teeth. This is not humiliation, it's evidence, I said coldly. If you don't write it, we'll see each other in court and let everyone see your glorious deeds. He looked at me, his eyes filled with anger and humiliation, but in the end, he surrendered. He wrote, each word seeming to be written with all his strength. I put away the letter of guarantee. This heavy repentance will be the ironclad proof of his betrayal. After receiving the letter of guarantee, Ethan seemed to feel that he had grasped some kind of balance. He became more paranoid, trying to reconnect us through physical means. That night, despite my resistance, he forced himself on me. I felt an overwhelming sense of disgust and humiliation, as if I had been defiled. But in the darkness, I quietly used my phone to capture the brutal marks he left on me. Scars are also evidence of domestic violence. Afterwards, Ethan seemed somewhat regretful of his roughness and began speaking to me gently again. He even restricted me from going out, under the pretense of resting well, but in reality, he was afraid I would do something out of line again. Those 3 days, I was trapped in that once loving home, which now felt like a magnificent prison. I often stared out the window, lost in thought, recalling when we first arrived in this city, crammed into a tiny rental, poor but filled with hope and happiness every day. Ethan would tell me amusing stories from work, clumsily cook for me, and hold me while whispering countless sweet words before sleep. Back then, his eyes shone with light. When did everything change? It was probably when he became richer, had more social engagements, and came home later and later. The distance between us unknowingly grew wider and wider. Half a month later, I found out I was pregnant. Looking at the 2 clear red lines on the pregnancy test, I felt no joy, only irony, but my mind was made up. When I longed for a child, he came and then left. When I decided to give up on this marriage, he came again. Ethan was overjoyed when he found out I was pregnant. He held me, so excited that he was incoherent. Ava, we're having another child. This is a chance given to us by heaven. Our Pip has come back. He believed this was an opportunity to repair our relationship, the last hope to keep me. Those days, he cared for me attentively, worrying about my well-being, restoring the long-lost tenderness. He began planning to take me to Shaman for a trip, saying he wanted to give me and the child a relaxing environment. He even began enthusiastically bringing all kinds of baby supplies home, crib, tiny clothes, toys. That sincere, hopeful smile reappeared on his face, as if there had never been any betrayal or hurt between us. Watching his busy figure, my heart remained calm and undisturbed. I could never keep this child. Losing my first child, Pip, was an accident, but it also made me see Ethan's selfishness and coldness clearly. The arrival of this child was not redemption, but another shackle. I will not bind myself with a child, nor will I let my child be born into a family full of lies and betrayal. Taking advantage of Ethan's lowered guard, I secretly went to the hospital for a checkup and scheduled an abortion. The doctor told me that due to my previous history of miscarriage and my physical condition, this miscarriage could be risky and might even lead to lifelong infertility. Are you sure you want to terminate it? You just found out you were pregnant. The doctor looked at me with a hint of regret in his eyes. I nodded firmly. I'm sure. More than losing my ability to have children, I am more afraid of losing myself. The surgery was scheduled for a week later. Ethan was completely unaware of this and was still enthusiastically planning our trip to Shaman. He even started researching nursery decoration plans, holding color swatches and asking me what colors I liked. Citing severe pregnancy symptoms and physical discomfort, I refused all his intimate requests and plans to go out. Although he felt a bit disappointed, thinking of the hard-earned child in my belly, he could only suppress his desires and take even more careful care of me. The surgery went smoothly. When I woke up from the anesthesia, a dull pain came from my lower abdomen, but strangely, I felt relieved in my heart. I was lying in the hospital's temporary restroom when my phone rang. It was my mother calling. As soon as I answered, her excited voice came through. Ava, Ethan said you're pregnant? That's wonderful. I knew you two would be fine. By the way, your brother wants to travel abroad. Can you see if Ethan can sponsor him a bit? I interrupted her. Mom, I aborted the child. There was an instant silence on the other end of the line. What did you say? Mother's voice sharpened. You aborted the child? Ava, are you crazy? That was Ethan's child. How dare you? Not only did I abort the child, but I am also divorcing him. I said calmly. You unfilial daughter. Are you trying to kill me with anger? Mother was so furious on the other end of the phone that she started cursing me incoherently. I silently hung up the phone. Immediately after, another call came in. Her tone was as arrogant and impatient as ever. Hey, Ava, I heard you're pregnant? Hurry up and get an ultrasound to see if it's a boy or a girl. If it's a girl, get rid of it quickly. Our Ethan can't have his line cut off. Don't think that just because you're pregnant you can do whatever you want. Ethan is so well off. There are plenty of young and beautiful girls lining up. Auntie, I interrupted her again. I've already had an abortion. There was a deathly silence on the other end of the phone. What did you say? My mother-in-law's voice was even sharper than my mom's. How dare you abort my grandchild? You wicked woman. I knew you had no good intentions. Also, I want a divorce from Ethan, I added, then decisively hung up the phone. It was already evening when I got home. My phone was flooded with missed calls and messages from Ethan. I ignored it and began quietly packing my things. I didn't have many things. One suitcase was enough. Just as I zipped up the suitcase, the door was suddenly slammed open. Ethan rushed in, his face pale as iron, his eyes bloodshot, as if he hadn't slept all night. Ava, why is your phone turned off? My mom said. She said you had the child. His voice trembled, unable to believe it. I took out the abortion medical record stamped by the hospital from my bag and handed it to him. The child is gone. I looked at him, speaking each word clearly. Let's get a divorce, Ethan. Ethan's gaze fell on the medical record. The words abortion surgery stabbed at his eyes. He suddenly snatched the medical report and tore it apart frantically, as if trying to shred this cruel reality. Fake. This has to be fake. You're lying to me, he roared like a wounded beast. You've been lying to me all along, pretending to reconcile, pretending to be pregnant. Ava, how can you be so cruel? Tears streamed down his face, mingling with anger and despair. Cruel? I looked at his broken state, feeling nothing inside. Ethan, who was really cruel first? Who was out there living it up with another woman when I was suffering the most from losing our child? I thought you had forgiven me. I thought this child was our new beginning. He choked up. New beginning? I sneered. From the moment you betrayed me, we were already over. Chloe, she. Ethan seemed to want to explain something. She used to work for Mr. Joe. I was just messing around with her to relieve some stress. I never meant to. Mr. Joe? The big client of our company? It turns out Chloe is still a kept woman. And my husband not only cheated, but his affair was with someone else's mistress. I just felt he was even more filthy and despicable. Just playing around? I interrupted him. Your playing around destroyed our marriage and shattered all my trust and love. I took out the divorce agreement I had prepared long ago from my bag, along with the guarantee letter he had written with his own hand, and placed them in front of him. On the agreement, I only asked for the portion of the marital property that belonged to me, not a penny more. Ethan looked at the agreement, then at my resolute face. His body swayed as if all his strength had been drained away. He picked up the pen, his hand trembling violently. In the end, he signed his name on the divorce agreement. 1 month cooling off period. I reminded him. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month. It was Ethan's mother. I neither returned to my hometown nor stayed in that suffocating city alone. I bought a plane ticket to Shaman. It wasn't for the trip Ethan once promised, but for myself. I checked into a guest house by the sea, run by a young man named Liam. Coincidentally, he was my junior in college and recognized me from the occasional posts I shared on social media. The world became quiet. After learning about what I had been through, Liam didn't ask much. He simply gave me a lot of care and support quietly. He said, "Senior, look ahead, you deserve better." However, the peaceful days didn't last long. Ethan actually showed up. He probably found my residence through the location on my social media or some other channel. He dragged his suitcase and appeared at the entrance of the guest house, requesting to check in. Liam recognized him and stopped him right outside the door. "Sorry sir, we are fully booked." Liam stood at the door, polite but firm in tone. "Fully booked? I just saw online that there were still available rooms." Ethan tried to force his way in. "That room has just been booked." Liam stood his ground. Ethan was furious but helpless. The even more dramatic part was yet to come. Just as Ethan and Liam were at a stalemate, another uninvited guest barged in, Chloe. She was obviously following Ethan all the way here, and when she saw Ethan and me appear here at the same time, her face instantly turned extremely unpleasant. "Ethan, why are you avoiding me? You don't answer my calls or reply to my messages." Chloe rushed up to Ethan and confronted him. Ethan looked even more displeased when he saw Chloe, especially in front of me. He seemed to want to salvage a bit of dignity at the last moment, or rather, to prove something to me. He pushed Chloe away decisively and said, "It's over between us long ago. The only person I love is Ava. Always has been." He turned to Chloe, his eyes cold. "I was never serious with you. It was just for fun. You didn't really believe it, did you?" Chloe looked at Ethan in disbelief, her eyes instantly reddening. "Just for fun? You say it was just for fun?" Her voice trembled. "Then why were you so good to me before, giving me gifts, taking me on trips, saying you wanted to marry me? Those are just means to make you happy." Ethan's tone was cold and indifferent, as if he were talking about something trivial. I stood aside, watching like it was a farce. This man, unfaithful to his lover, how could he be any different with me? "Sign it." I couldn't help but laugh sarcastically. "Ethan, with how fast you change your face, it's a pity you don't act." Ethan was stung by my words, furious and ashamed. He glared viciously at Chloe. "If you keep pestering me, do you believe I'll send out all those photos of you?" "Photos? What photos?" Chloe's face instantly turned pale, then filled with anger. "Ethan, you are shameless. You actually threaten me with photos? She seemed to have nothing to lose and turned to me. What do you think he is? Some good guy? He was the one who seduced me first. Knowing full well that I work for President Joe, he still insisted on provoking me. So there was this twist after all. This is getting more and more exciting. Chloe then pointed the finger at me, her eyes full of resentment. And you? Don't get smug. Using abortion to get back at a man, that's truly ruthless. Do you think you've won? I don't need to win. I looked at her calmly. Letting you live in a family like Ethan and his mother is the real cruelty. As for him, I glanced at the ashen-faced Ethan. He's not worth my lingering thoughts, nor worth sacrificing a child for. My words completely enraged Ethan. He lost his last shred of reason and raised his hand to give Chloe a sharp slap. Bitch, shut up. Chloe was stunned, then screamed and lunged at Ethan, wrestling with him. The scene was chaotic. Seeing this, Liam immediately called the police. The police arrived quickly and put an end to the farce. Ethan and Chloe were taken away for questioning. Before leaving, Ethan gave me a deep look, his eyes complex, filled with anger, resentment, and a faint trace of barely noticeable despair. Is there anything else you want to say? He asked. I thought for a moment and said, delete Chloe's photos. There's no need to keep them. Then added, the cooling off period is almost over. Don't forget to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Ethan's shoulders slumped, and the last glimmer of light in his eyes went out. Liam helped me deal with the aftermath. In the evening, I borrowed Liam's bicycle and rode alone to the ferry terminal. The sea breeze brushed through my hair, carrying a salty, moist scent. The afterglow of the sunset spilled over the sea, shimmering with golden light. I stopped the car, leaned against the railing, and watched the distant sun slowly sink below the horizon. An unprecedented sense of ease and freedom enveloped me. The divorce certificate will be obtained soon. I can find a new job. The future may hold challenges, but I am no longer afraid. I have lost a lot, but I have also regained the most important thing, myself. Facing the afterglow of the setting sun, I showed the first genuine smile I've had in a long time. It's really nice. The world finally became quiet.